Good afternoon. Today, I want to talk. Thanks for the chickens. Today, I want to talk about free-range chicken thinking, and I'm with a graphic design agency here in town called Full Metal Chicken, and it's just basically a way that we think about life in general. So, let's talk about free-range chicken thinking. It's all about ideas that survive in an environment that changes. And raise a hand, whose environment never changes? All right, so nobody gets out of this one, right? So what we like to do is try to think about things creatively and not doing things the way we've always done them. So let's get a little background about what's a free range and what's a caged chicken. So if you think about a caged chicken, you're thinking about this guy who's sitting in this coop and he's fat and happy and full of chemicals and he's tasty. You know, you get him at Bojangles, KFC, wherever. But think about his life. Think about that caged chicken's life. There's no adaptation. He's just sitting there fat and happy, but his path is death, as sad as that is. But think about that free-range chicken, that feral chicken. Man, he's lean, he's mean, he does kung fu. I mean, this guy is just a free chicken. Nothing matters. He's got to do all these different types of things to survive. And that's what I want to talk about. I don't know if you saw the title of it is Cluckers and Survivors, because we know a lot of people who cluck. They just talk. They just cluck and cluck and cluck and cluck. But you got these other people who are survivors. So let's talk about that free-range way of living is just surviving. Has anybody seen, like, you've been to Key West or anything? Raise your hands. Key West? You've probably seen a lot of feral chickens. Those dudes get up in trees. When's the last time you've seen a chicken in a tree? Well, they get up in trees because that's a survival technique. They get away from foxes or whatever other varmint, cars, whatever. But that's adaptability. I don't know if you ever heard of this guy named Chuck Darwin, old Chuck D. Madman, you know, he kind of created some waves in his life, but he made a quote that was pretty good. It's basically, he says, it's not the strongest of a species that survives, but it's the one that's most adaptable to change. So think about that. Are you adapting to change? This area has been hit pretty dadgum hard by economic downturn, shift in manufacturing, shift in just basically culture with the adventation of technology and whatnot. But are you adaptable to change? Which kind of brings me into the next topic of linear thinking versus lateral thinking. Everybody knows linear thinking is a step-by-step process. In order for me to get out of this room, I need to go down to the left, down these steps, get out that door. What happens if that door is gone? What happens if there's a fire in this room that blocks all these exits? Are you able to adapt to get out of this room? Lateral thinking is the creative thinking that you really don't think about in aspects of life. So I got a little riddle here. There's a guy laying in the middle of the field, and he has an unopened package beside him, but he's dead. No one's around. No one's been around. How did the guy die? Raise a hand if you've solved this puzzle. Got it. How did you come up with that? Oh. But the lateral thinking process is, I don't have enough information to make a sound decision. So you start thinking about it. Was he killed by a sniper? Was the box laced with poison? What are these different types of things? Not from a linear approach. How did this man die? So from a creative standpoint, how are you going to solve these questions? So hang out with other animals. And that's pretty key. We have a building in town here, and we have a multi-tenant situation. And I say situation because it's awesome. We have realtors, we have graphic designers, we have insurance guys, we have an awesome photographer in the building, but we all hang out together, and we all learn things from each other. There's many different ways that you can see different survival techniques by people who are not like you. Hang out with someone who's not like you. Chickens can hang out with chickens, but hang out with a goat. Maybe you start eating 10, I don't know. But start thinking about hanging out with other animals, because other animals have different survival techniques and different ideas that you might not have ever had. Think about that from your company. Think about, from the accounting standpoint, maybe giving some pretty good input over someone in the manufacturing side. Or maybe environmental services have been thinking about a way like that we could reduce cost. Are you willing to listen to them? Hang out with other animals. It can benefit you tremendously. 5-year-olds have it right. Who have kids here? Who was a kid? Some people didn't raise their hands. That's kind of odd. But 5-year-olds have it right. They have no filter. They don't have bad ideas. I didn't have a bad idea when I was 5. I could fly if I had a cape on. I could jump off anything. I could do anything. I had no filter. Why are we away from that? Why have we gotten away from the filter of ideas? Bring youth back in your life. It's frustrating to me that this world just beats the youth out of you. But think about if you had no filter, no idea that there was a bad idea. You don't care if you have a booger hanging out of your nose. You're 5. Start thinking more being youthful. This is a pet peeve of mine. Raise your hand if you think you're not creative. Everyone's creative. It's BS if you think you're not creative. And creative does not have to be drawing pretty pictures or taking awesome photographs. Creative can be in thought processes, solving questions, solving problems. Do you think the Beatles' first album was awesome? It was, but they progressively got better. Well, they had that weird period. But not everyone is creative off the bat. You know, your first song you ever write is not the best song you've ever written. The first painting you've ever painted. But the first idea you have might not be the best idea, but you got to keep working at these things. Creative is something you got to continually work at. You just continually work at. Dogma. Dogma is something that's pretty near and dear because most people think of it in a religious aspect. Well, it doesn't have to be, because we've all seen it true every day in this area. I'm not going to change because I'm going to keep on doing what I'm going to keep on doing because that's the way it's always been done. Break that barrier. If you keep doing what you've always done, doesn't that kind of lead to extinction? There's other factors that can come into your life that can cause extinction, but don't keep on doing it. Break the dogma down. Who battles with dogma every day from an aspect of, you know, hey, I'd love to do this. Yeah, but we can't do that because that's the way it's always been done. Bull crap. No one says that. I mean, are you willing to not move forward just to hold those values of we've always done it this way, so therefore we can't change? It's crazy. This is one that we really harp on, is living outside of the box. How many people have been taught to, let's think outside of the box? And 9 times out of 10, where were you told that? In a conference room, which is a box. What sense does that make? And whenever I say think outside of the box, it makes me think I got to get back in the box. So why would I need to think outside of the box if I got to return to the box? Boxes are meant to contain things. So why don't you try to live outside of the box? Try to live that there was no box to begin with. I mean, at our office space, we try to do things totally different. If we've got a problem, let's pull a llama into it, because llamas are cool. Bring something that does not exist into an area that you're dealing with. If you've got an accounting issue, ask manufacturing. If you've got a personal issue, look somewhere else. It doesn't always have to be right there in front of your face. Bring an object that does not belong, put it into the problem, and see how you can solve it. Worst thing that happens is you don't solve the problem. But live outside of the box. I mean, every company can live outside of the box. It's just up to you to limit yourself by your own constraints. And we see that daily within the government, within our personal lives. We constrain ourselves to the point where we can't really move forward. De-Beaking is something that's pretty crazy. In animal or I should say chicken husbandry. I don't know any other animals that de-beak. But in chicken coops and whatnot, there's a practice called de-beaking. Raise your hand if you know what that is. Why do they do de-beaking? They cut the front of the beak off of a chicken so it won't cause harm to the other livestock. Think about that in your personal life. Are you de-beaking yourself? Are you censoring yourself? Are you censoring others in your business? Don't de-beak. It kills innovation. You might have an ego or something. Well, this guy's got a great idea, but man, I wish I could take credit for it, so I'm not even going to let that thing be known. Get your ego out of it, because good ideas are good ideas. Let them happen. That's just, it's key. I mean, you can't de-beak people. You can't de-beak yourself. A bad idea is a bad idea, but a good idea could be the next Facebook, or it could be the next whatever. I don't know, but don't de-beak people. Don't de-beak yourself. It's killing innovation. Don't be scared. We're in times now that, what's the worst that could happen? You fail. Who's not failed before? Everyone fails. It's not a bad thing. Failure's not a bad thing. It means that you're trying something. I would rather fail trying something than do nothing. So don't de-beak yourself. This one's pretty touchy. Lose your damn sense of entitlement. Nobody owes you anything. I'm from the entitlement generation. I battle with it every day. You know, I should be making X amount of dollars by X amount of time. Lose your damn sense of entitlement. I see this throughout my life every day. But think about it from the standpoint, if you don't love what you do, get the hell out. If you don't like selling insurance, get out. If you want to start beekeeping, go buy a beehive. Nobody says you can't do that. But just lose your sense of entitlement. That's almost as bad as de-beaking. So don't think of things of being not possible. Just try to go through it. How many of you feel de-beaked? Have felt de-beaked in your life? Yeah. Why is that? Was it a bad idea? Did you have a good idea that was de-beaked? Try to work through these things. I mean, try to work through these things because you yourself can do whatever you want to. We're in an area that needs to do something. We all can agree on that, right? Amen. So think about free-range chicken thinking. Think outside of the box, live outside of the box, do whatever you got to do. Just keep moving forward, man. There's a lot of smart people in this room, in this building that can do anything they want to do. It's just up to you to do it. Appreciate it.